This is episode 18 of Spiritual AF with Pixie Rose, the podcast for people going on their spiritual journey, knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Today on the podcast I have Julianne. Julianne is passionate about veganism, health and spiritual kindness. So we actually met about 10 years ago, we were just discussing. And you actually did my makeup for my wedding.
I did, didn't I?
It's a super interesting way to connect, I think.
I know.
Considering now, you know, we're both sort of going down a similar journey in lots of ways in terms of spirituality and veganism especially.
Yes.
So you have been doing the entrepreneurship for a long time now, which I think is just amazing. And I remember looking at you back then and just thinking like, wow, look at you doing these different businesses and just, doing so well in it. So thank you for coming onto the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's like really exciting to be able to have a discussion like this with somebody else that gets it.
Yeah.
So, and to share with everyone else as well. Yeah.
So I'm so excited for you to share your wisdom on one of my favourite topics, which is around health and veganism.
Yes.
So I would love it if we could start with a bit of your story, your journey to how you got to be doing what you're doing today with Daughter Raw.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, I always wanted to be a vegetarian, even when I was a kid, but I didn't know how to go about it. And look, so I won't go into that one so much. So basically I'm saying I always didn't really feel like eating meat, and it just didn't smell right to me, and I complained to my mum and she's like, that's how lamb smells, just eat it, you know. And so those conversations went on all the time as I was a kid. So it was nearly 4 years ago now that I went on a spiritual retreat. Eckhart Tolle is somebody that I've been following and have read all of his books, and I came across them when I was 23. Somebody gave them to me to read, and I remember the first time I read A New Earth, I was like, what is he talking about? I just didn't get it at all, but I persisted with it. And over the years, because I'm 38 now and I still listen to A New Earth in particular, and I always get something new out of it, and I love that. It's like the book that just keeps on giving. So anyway, I was on a retreat with Eckhart Tolle in Twin Waters in Queensland, and it was a weekend retreat. I took myself to the zoo in one of the times off there, the Steve Irwin Zoo.
Yeah.
And I hung out there's like a petting zoo for all of the children. So I went in there because, you know, I'm a children's entertainer. I like being where the kids are. And anyway, what really took me that day was my Lightbulb moment was the pigs. I was watching them. In fact, I've got a video of it on my phone. I found that the other day. And the pigs were like wagging their tails and having a sniff, and their behaviour was just like my pet dogs, and it just struck me. I was like, oh my God, these pigs are exactly like my dogs. And I'm like, I can't eat pigs. There's no way I can eat bacon ever again. And of course from there it's like, how do you discriminate between all animals? So that was the start of my journey. So from that, didn't eat meat. And some months later I met my now fiance, he'd been a vegan for 8 years at the time, and he was coming to be a housemate because I was looking for a housemate at the time. It's funny, with this veganism thing, it's really a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Because a huge detox comes, even in your relationships and everything. We were talking about that ourselves. So I was in a relationship that, you know, wasn't serving me or each other. It was very codependent. So that one got cleaned out. So eventually I met Michael, who's my current partner, and he was very health focused. So he was moving in as a housemate, and I'd cleared off a shelf for him. I said, this is where you can put, you know, your food. And he was like, oh, that's okay. I don't keep much food. I won't need the fridge. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, because I'm a frugivore. I'm like, oh, okay. And he was like, don't worry. It's just going to it does everyone's head in. I was like, no, but I'm really interested. I want to know more. Like, because there was something in me that already understood the truth of eating simply just from what nature gives us. And he was already quite a few years ahead in that journey than I. So we really connected on that health level. And then, of course, I stumbled onto all of the healing benefits of this lifestyle and how we can really change anything we want in our bodies, like as far as illness and dis-ease goes. And I say that quite deliberately, dis-ease. It's just, you know, your body's not comfortable. You can fix it. It's not a disease as the allopathic world has labelled it. So, yeah, that's where I've come about. And Karen, you said we met at your wedding, and that was another thing for me that sort of got cleansed through my transition into veganism, because I was a makeup artist for 20 years and I just didn't want to deal with chemicals anymore, and I was doing hair a lot and spraying hairsprays, and I haven't done that now. So I haven't done hair and makeup for 3 years.
Right.
So I just I can't do it. And even so there's been a lot of changes, like it really is Pandora's box.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So for anyone who doesn't know what you're doing with Daughter Raw, you are a raw vegan, or what was the other word that you described? Was it
fruitarian?
Fruitarian, yeah.
Yeah, so I identify as being a raw vegan.
Yep.
So it means, for those people who don't know, is I don't cook any of my food, and I grow a lot of it myself. And so I'm a high fruit raw vegan.
Yep.
So throughout the day, my diet will look like fruit throughout the day. Like, for instance, this morning I've had 5 bananas. Michael made it for me, that's why I had to think. It's 3 to 5 bananas and a cup of raspberries, and sometimes I'll add some oat milk, and that's my breakfast, and that's probably a litre, so it's quite a big meal. And I could do that twice a day, and then a big salad in the evening, and snacks. You can eat as much as you like on this. You grab an apple, 4 apples. Yeah, so that's what I do. And I do still have cooked meals as well. Like, I'm not fanatical. So, because it can get really tricky in our culture, when you catch up with family, part of it is dining together. So I won't eat meat though, but I will enjoy something cooked, like Thai food's really nice, or Indian, like chickpea dishes and chana masala and that sort of thing. Yeah, but not very often, because it's acid forming.
Yeah, which we'll get into that definitely. Yes. And I've been so intrigued by raw food for a long time. And I guess one thing that I'd love to ask you about is, when I would eat raw, I would actually start to feel sick.
Yeah.
So is there a reason why I would start to feel sick? Because I thought that was my body saying, oh, you need something cooked now, or so do you want to share some wisdom on that?
Yeah, it does sound familiar, and that's known as a healing crisis.
Okay.
I don't quite like that word, healing crisis. It's a healing push, maybe.
Yeah.
So as soon as the body starts taking in living's good if you can get it, or just raw food from the supermarket, which isn't so alive, the body will start cleaning itself, because it's finally able to let go of I kind of feel like I need to go back to the digestive processes, actually.
Yeah, sure.
So when we eat foods, our digestion starts in our mouths, and it's an alkaline digestive process, and we release enzymes in our mouth to start breaking down that food, and then it goes down into our stomach. And if we're having proteins or anything like that, it creates our stomach releases HCl, hydrochloric acid, which then initiates pepsin, which is another acid chemical to break down these proteins.
Right.
So for a long time, our body we're eating acids all of the time. So cooked food is acidic and we're used to eating that. And everything that we eat has to come out of us. So what's happening is it's not able to all come out. So we get quite congested and mucus forms. So particularly around our small bowels, we get like a built up of mucoid plaque, which is a really gluey substance, which is they're byproducts of what you eat, like gluten and foreign proteins and acids that all stick together. And it's our small bowels that we absorb our nutrition through. Now, our body's not able to do that if you've got quite a lot of mucoid plaque built up. It just can't get through. And then, of course, you need to... So if you can't utilize, then your cells... If you think of your cells, you've got like 1 trillion little kerins that all need to be fed. And they all need to excrete as well. Now, most people are undernourished. They're all starved. All your little kerins and all the little Juliannes are starved because they're not able to get their parcel of nutrition because it's congested. So think of it as like your blood will deliver like a postie. He's, comes to your letterbox and he's got a beautiful parcel of nutrition for you and he goes to stick it in your letterbox, but it's full and it's full of junk mail, okay? And it's like you miss out on that beautiful parcel. So what happens is when you start eating good food, your body's going to start releasing some of that mucus and that toxic byproducts, and you're going to start feeling sick potentially because it's trying to find a way out. So you might find you'll have digestive issues, you might have diarrhea, even constipation, runny nose, sore throat. You're like, oh my God, it must be the apples. I'm allergic to apples, I'm sure of it. Or strawberries. I just can't eat strawberries every time you hear this. Or whenever I have oranges, I just get a sore throat. They're no good for me. But no, make no mistake, it's not the fruit that's causing that. It's because you're already have a level of acidity and toxic build-up. And the food is triggering a cleanse. Yeah. And that's what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
So
hope
it's
I've
like
explained that in a way that
it's so
sense.
Interesting. My brain's just like ticking away. Yeah. So it's like a detox.
It's
so
totally
you start eating
detox.
raw and your body starts detoxing, and
Yes.
that's why and I'm sure like any detox is not always a pleasant
it's
experience.
Absolutely not. No, that's right. Especially initially. And you probably did the right thing when you said you thought, I might have to have some cooked food. Well, that's okay. It's not a silly idea because you might need to slow the detox down. You can manage how fast that detox goes.
Right.
Yeah. You don't have to just start eating fruit all the time. That can really put your body into a stress trying to, all of a sudden it's released all these toxins and they need to be able to come out. And if you're not able to eliminate, say if you're someone, because we should be passing a stool 3 times a day, at least 2.
Yeah.
And if you're not and you're detoxing and you can't get your bowels moving, that's troublesome. Yeah, you could end up with more problems.
Yeah,
so you do really want to find someone who knows how to detox and do it safely.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of the health problems that you have cured by eating raw food?
This is exciting for me. Well, the biggest one being a female is having severe period pains all of my life, and that's gone now.
Yeah.
Well, when I say gone, a bad day is like a 1 or a 2 out of 10 because I've rated it.
Yeah.
And that was mostly what really gave me the tenacity to spur on with detox, because it's really tricky to eat raw food all the time. But I did keep it up for like 2 years because I wanted to see with each period that was coming whether I was going to experience less and less pain, which I was able to. So now I'm able to maintain that, and I can still have cooked food here and there.
Yeah.
But I do notice when I start not keeping that balance of raw and cooked.
Yeah.
Too much cooked creeping in, that I'll notice the direct effect my period that month I'll have more discomfort than usual. So yeah, I've been able to cure my period pains, and look, it was suspected because I was on and off to the doctors all the time. It's a hard one. I think a lot of women suffer from period pains, and you might be told that it's normal.
Well, that's the thing. Like, everyone thinks it's normal, yeah. And I also found, just going vegan, I found, my period was very different, very light, and, you know, compared to what it was before that. So
and that's how it should be.
Exactly, yeah.
That's it. So yeah, doctors really don't have any clue about nutrition. It's only looking back now, I just think, I just had no support back then, because they didn't know how to support you if not by giving you chemical medicines, like take the pill. So I was put on the pill at some point, but I didn't take it for long, because I'm like, this is affecting how my body functions. It's so unnatural. I didn't like that idea. So eventually they suspected that I had endometriosis. Now, the only way to know that for sure is to get a laparoscopy.
Oh.
Yeah, which is an invasive surgery.
Right.
It's the only way they can diagnose it. And there's no way, that scared the shit out of me. No way I was going to have a laparoscopy. So yeah, it just all came about around this time too, with coming vegan, because the endometriosis gets worse as women get older.
Right.
And of course it does, because of those accumulation of acids that we spoke about and the toxic body, and the body's just like, oh, where am I putting all this? I might store it over here, or that's how it happens. And you can fix yourself with a raw food diet and detoxing in other ways too, your body, mind and soul. So there's spiritual aspects of it, as you probably know, and cleaning products and things that we inhale, that's all a huge part of our health as well, that I think we can take for granted.
100%.
Oh yeah, and I had a varicose vein, and that's gone as well.
Right.
But the period pain was big.
But
the varicose vein went in like 2 weeks. It was nothing. It was like gone.
And that's another thing that people get surgery for, isn't it?
Yes. Because I have a neighbour across the road who is a nurse, and she's a wounds nurse. And I had her come over because it was throbbing, it's sore, it was under my knee. I'm like, what is this? Like, I had an idea it could be a varicose vein, because I know that my dad has a couple of them.
Yep.
And she had a look, and she's like, yeah, it's a varicose vein. I'm like, no, because I'm a big baby. I don't like surgeries or anything like that.
It's actually my goal in life to never have surgery.
Nice. Well, you're on track then.
Yeah, because I 100% believe that everything can be cured. We don't need these surgeries for anything. So, like, obviously, if, you have a car accident, I would 100% want surgery and get all my guts put back where they're supposed to go, or whatever it is. Emergency surgeries, there's a place for that, modern medicine.
Yes, I agree.
But for health, it's pretty much always down to food.
Yeah.
It
really is. Yeah. And we're not conditioned that way. Like, we just don't know that it's the food, and we watch how our parents eat, and we watch how we party, and we watch what they do on TV, and we've given so much of our trust, like a blind faith almost, to doctors who aren't trained in nutrition, and you go there and it's somebody that really doesn't look healthy to you. Yeah. And they're trying. It doesn't, just never made sense in my head. So.
No.
What about when you had your kids? Were you able to go naturally in those cases?
Like no pain relief and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with Presley and with getting pregnant with Presley, like it sort of all happened so much quicker than what I thought it would take. It was just like, yep, you just have sex and then you're pregnant and then, done. And I guess I didn't really connect in my pregnancy very much. Like, I did get a Reiki session and that really helped me connect later on in my pregnancy, but I was so detached. And, like, even... how we were talking about weddings before, like, you do all this, planning for a wedding day and you don't plan for the marriage, same as babies. you like buy all this stuff. It's all materialism. Like you got to prepare for the baby, but like I didn't prepare to be a mother. Yeah. So with Presley, it was a hospital birth, and I was planning on doing it natural, and I hired this TENS machine. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
A tennis machine?
TENS machine.
TENS.
I'm pretty sure like TENS.
Clearly I haven't heard.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like a natural pain reliever.
Okay.
Because I definitely, I've always sort of been anti-chemicals and anti-drugs and that sort of thing. And yeah, the TENS machine kind of like failed on me. So it's kind of meant to, in a way, like, it's almost like a shock, if that makes sense. So instead of being focused on the pain through the labor, it like you put it on your back and it's like this electric sort of shock.
Okay.
It's unusual, actually, like now that I think of it.
Like it distracts you.
Yeah. And it was a very big distraction. It wasn't sort of, so like you press the button so that when you have a contraction and it sort of goes at the same time. But it just did not work at all.
It sounds like one extra thing.
Yeah. I would not recommend it.
You gave it a go.
I did. So
Yeah.
with Presley, they did offer the gas, and I totally went into shock. Like I didn't sort of expect for anything to feel the way that it would. Like I said, I did not prepare at all. Like I just like bought all the stuff that you need for a baby and thought I was done.
You were in for a shock, weren't you? Yeah.
And yeah, just the whole birth, I could probably do a whole episode on births, and I love like hearing, birth stories and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But with Penny, it was a home birth. So there's no option for drugs. So even if I wanted the gas, there's no option.
Yeah, right.
And I loved not having the option. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really didn't think that I needed it for that, because I prepared. So that whole pregnancy, I did all this preparation on birth, and it was actually a course.
It made a difference.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, it was a course called Rock Your Birth, and it's sort of this woman that teaches women how to prepare for a birth.
That's great.
And especially preparing for a natural birth or a home birth or whatever it is that you want. And also water. I used water for Penny, so I had her in the birthing pool, and just being in the water was like this beautiful natural pain reliever. So yeah, I didn't even think about wanting.
That's so nice.
And honestly, I loved it. Like that second time round, I was like, oh my God, giving birth is awesome. I was like, yeah, this is the best.
I'm really inspired to hear that, because I haven't had any babies or anything myself. I envision it that way. I'm a Pisces too, so I'm just be swimming there and pop it out like nothing.
Exactly, it was.
And I'd like to think, because breathing's a big part of giving birth.
Yes.
Right? And you've heard of the Wim Hof method and Wim Hof.
Yeah.
So I've done his fundamentals course as well.
Wow.
So that breathing technique, you can use that. So if you know you're pregnant, you don't do a certain breathing technique, because it activates your endocrine system.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. But it's good if you're trying to get a baby out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all about, and that's what you do. Like that's what I learnt in that course was you don't actually need to push. I was pushing Presley for 3 hours. You are not supposed to push for that long. It's meant to just happen, and it just didn't with Presley. And then I learnt that you're actually not supposed to push.
Right.
You're meant to just breathe your baby out. So that's all I did with Penny. I just was in the pool and I just breathed her out, and she just came out, and I was just like, whoa.
That's amazing.
Just floated up
I think
to me.
we overcomplicate things, don't we? Like in the way we
100%.
eat and having
all
children.
these different drugs that they offer
and
you.
it can just be so simple, like with health, and just we've kind of lost the ancient wisdoms, like the lady that you mentioned that you did her course, or those people. We need more of those people just to put us back in alignment with the simplicity of nature and life. And we don't have to make it hard for ourselves.
And I love that. I love that, that's how you describe what you eat. And I've always been drawn to simple eating, and I feel like I've almost had a story around it that I'm not a great cook or something, but it's because I don't.
Because you're not supposed to.
I'm just not drawn to doing these fancy things with all these different flavors, and I like simple food. Yeah. So I know you mentioned in some of your YouTube videos, just going back to like the health problems that you cured by eating raw foods. So things like IBS and fatigue and brain fog.
IBS, of course.
Yeah. Also interesting with the brain fog was I actually experienced some really intense brain fog when I went vegan. So
when you went vegan?
Yeah. So do you take supplements? Do you...
I don't take supplements. Do you take supplements?
Well, a lot of people say when you go vegan, you've got to take B12.
Yeah,
and I never just, take stuff. I'm like, I'm just going to experiment and see if I need it. Mm-hmm. And what happened was, and honestly, when I went vegan, I was not eating healthy vegan.
There's a difference, isn't there?
There's such a difference.
Yeah. There's a potato chips vegan.
Yes.
And pastries, like vegan. Yeah,
I had toast for dinner most nights. Not good.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I did have a lot of brain fog, but it was probably just because I wasn't eating enough vegetables.
Your poor mini-me cells that I tell you about, they're like, give me some fructose and glucose, girl.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and even fruit. I never used to eat fruit. I used to have this mindset of like, I've got to save the fruit for the kids, thinking that I'm like not abundant or something and there's not enough fruit for everybody. I don't know.
It's good you've caught that now, isn't it?
Silly.
Yeah, we've got to catch those dwarfy thoughts that we get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then acne's been a big one for me as well.
Oh, yes.
So once I cut eggs, as we were talking before, I stopped having dairy, then eggs, then meat was sort of my vegan journey, which is a bit sort of, some people do it the other way around. But when I stopped eating eggs, I had terrible acne, and I still do get a little bit of acne, but I eat a lot better now.
Yeah.
So I thought I was protein deficient. So maybe that's not the case either.
No, see, we have a lymphatic system, which is our body's sewage system, and your waste, and your skin is your second biggest eliminative organ next to your kidneys. So it's a way out.
Yes.
And when you will see that with people that are so toxic, it wants to come out. So it does try to come out through the skin because it can come out through congestion, through sinuses. And with women, we're a little bit lucky too, because we have a vagina and we can get toxins out through that avenue as well. Yeah, so that's all it is. I think eventually when the diet cleans you out, you'll get less acne.
Beautiful. But so that I guess I've had a bit of fear of trying raw foods for all of these different reasons.
Yeah, it will give you a detox. Yeah. Because I remember when I first transitioned, and as I said, I had Michael, who was already years ahead of me, and he was actually able to help his previous wife with cancer.
Wow.
And she went through chemo twice, the second time. They said, we can put you through it again, but it doesn't look good. But no, they did juicing, and she's still alive today.
Yes. Well, I've heard of that a lot. People curing their cancer just by drinking juice.
You can cure cancers. You can go
cure
anything, right?
Yeah, because again, cancer is just a toxin, right?
Yeah. Well, basically. Yeah, exactly.
So what actually happens to our vegetables when we cook them?
Ooh, good one. So there are enzymes in the vegetables and there are enzymes in our mouths, and we need those enzymes to properly break down that food so that our body can utilize it and deliver those parcels of nourishment around by the blood. So when you cook your food, you damage most of those enzymes, if not all, because heat, if you put anything to a flame, you're going to burn it and hurt it. You wouldn't stick your finger in there. Cooking changes the chemical composition of the food. That's what it does. It alters it quite dramatically to a point where it's kind of foreign when it comes into our bodies. So that's basically what happens, is chemically you're changing the structure of the food when you cook it. And another effect that has is it's addictive. Cooked food is highly addictive. Yeah. Just as sugar is, and alcohol, and we love eating. You go out for dinner and it's yummy. It's so good. It's like, I would put it in the same category as like sex and chocolate, and for me anyway.
100%.
Food's like number 3.
100%.
I wouldn't say there was anyone that doesn't enjoy cooked food.
Yeah.
Even if you're a hardcore fruitarian, and there are a very few handful of people that manage to do that. Yeah, if you gave them a cooked meal, I'm sure they'd just be like, bing.
Oh, yeah. It makes so much sense because even, you know, as we were talking before, like, food is medicine.
Yeah.
And for every issue that we might have, nature has miraculously created this piece of food that will cure it all, that will help you, assist with that. So when we cook it, we're sort of changing that natural... that makes a lot of sense.
We're destroying the enzymes in the food. We are. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, you will still get some nutrition, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure, but it makes sense to me. Like, the longer you leave it in the fire, eventually it turns to charcoal.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So, which is, you know, a lot of people have always said that, you know, steaming your vegetables is, you know, if you can't have them raw, then just like lightly steamed, because the more it's cooked or boiled, I've heard that as well. That's like boiled vegetables, pretty much all the nutrients will go out in the water or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. If you can keep if you do need to have cooked food, because if you're detoxing and you want to clean your body up, you need to not have any cooked food, and you need to be 100%. So if you want to cure endometriosis or irritable bowel or cancer, you need to be strict until it's gone, and then you might be able to treat yourself. But if you start eating the old way, you're going to end up just as you were eventually. So cooked food, if you want to cook it, keep it under 40 degrees, don't quote me, 38 degrees, and it's still considered raw. It doesn't hurt the food so much. Because steamed vegetables is a good way to slow down the detox a bit. If you're like, oh my god, I've just got a migraine that I can't deal with because I've been eating all these raw foods and it's triggering, then steamed sweet potatoes or something.
Yeah, beautiful. So what are some examples of alkalizing foods and acidic foods? And what does alkalizing even mean?
Yeah,
we hear that word a lot, don't we?
Yeah, good question. To understand what alkalizing even means is we first need to look at the world. The physical realm that we're in is a realm of duality. We've got light and dark. We've got the cycles, and there's a time and place for everything. And there's chemistry, which is either one side of chemistry is acid, and the other side is alkaline. So we sort of get a basic of that when we go through high school. So acids and alkalines don't mix very well. And acids, Coke is an example of a acidic food. I think it's like a 2 on the pH scale. Neutral is 7. Now, it's important to know that your blood always needs to be alkaline. If it goes acidic, you don't last too long, you'll die. So your body is always, neutral is called like homeostasis. Your body is always trying to bring you to homeostasis. So you can smoke, drink alcohol, eat McDonald's, and your body is going to not let you die. It's going to work hard, and in order to do that, your liver's amazing. It can produce enzymes for you, and it's incredible. But you can't live like that forever. So, acid forming foods are meats. It's all animal products, okay? And just for anyone that is listening that isn't aware that meat does include fish, and that does mean chicken as well, and turkey, all of that. It's acid forming. Grains are actually, most grains are acid forming. There are some exceptions like quinoa and millet that have an alkalizing effect on the body.
Okay.
There's lots to know, but generally, if you're someone that's detoxing and you're serious about cleaning up your health, you would be avoiding all your animal products and all of your grains, obviously dairy. I think that's it. Did I miss something? Oh, and cooked food. Yeah, that all creates an acid chemistry in the body. So what you want to make your body heal, you want to only put in alkalizing foods, which of course are fruits, berries, melons, and your green vegetables. And in that order, because greens are lower than fruit. Because we are frugivores. It's a misunderstanding if people think that we're omnivores, or certainly not carnivores. We're not herbivores. Herbivores you know, cows, horses, hogs, they eat so much grass, but they also have a much longer digestive system than us and more stomachs to process it. Because that's the other thing about being raw vegan. I did discover that I couldn't eat too many salads because all that fiber I just can't cope with.
Yeah.
And it's not just me, it's the human body. We're not designed to be able to handle that much fiber.
Yeah.
So that's why juicing is a really good option.
Oh my God, this
you
just
can get
makes
the
so much
nourishment,
sense.
yeah, but without the fiber because you're probably getting enough already. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So are there some people that shouldn't only eat raw? And this is sort of coming from a bit of an Ayurvedic perspective, if you know much about
A little
Ayurveda.
bit, yeah. There's a practitioner because I don't know a lot.
Yep.
From my understanding is there's like a practitioner that will
sort of look at
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. So I do think that the consciousness of the person that's doing the testing is a factor as well.
Yep.
And I do think that, yes, at that point in time, some people, it might cause too hard of a detox if that person were to start eating raw. Particularly salads, because of that reason with that high fiber content.
Yeah.
But fruit is our true food source as a human species. And if you can't eat fruit, then there is something seriously out of balance.
Yeah.
So yes, maybe if that's recognised, they might suggest to avoid certain foods whilst you can build your body up and get it back to a place that's more harmonious. And you can do that using the herbal kingdom. There are a lot of great herbs and that's traditional medicine.
Yes.
Yeah, like parsley and cinnamon and I don't know all of the names.
Yeah, well,
they've got some fancy names.
Yeah,
haven't they?
well, I guess if you were seeing like an Ayurvedic specialist, like someone who prescribes, particular diets or whatever it is, herbs is a big part of that. So I love Ayurveda.
Yeah, I would like to know more about it as well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think that, I don't believe that there's, if someone said to you, you should never eat strawberries, I don't know. But also I'm not qualified to know because I don't know enough about it. Because I do also recognise that certain fruits do speak more to certain organs and bodily functions.
Yeah.
So it could be that, say, strawberries, I'm just making this up as an example, could activate your nervous system and give you so much energy. And for someone like a person that suffers anxiety, it might be the last thing you want to have.
Yeah.
So maybe avoid strawberries.
Yeah.
Because it could be some of those reasons that they take into account. But yeah, I certainly think that raw foods is going to benefit everyone. Certainly coming from how people eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially focusing on fruits, which I didn't really think that with raw foods. I'm just thinking, you just eat lots of salads.
Yeah, it's got to be high fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because fruit's really great for your nervous system, whereas greens are more for muscle building. Yeah. And if it's under the ground, it's not so good for you. So the more above ground, the higher off the ground it gets, the better it is for you.
Yeah.
It's more food that's proper and designed for you.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. So I'm a big believer in food is medicine, and you've shared that since going vegan, you haven't been to the doctors since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm also currently at the healthiest I've ever been. But even that, like, I know I still have so much more to do.
There's
like,
always something.
Yeah. Yes. But as I mentioned before, like when I first went vegan, I definitely was not a healthy vegan. I wasn't eating a lot of fruit. I was eating toast for dinner most nights, like not the way to go. But then since sort of waking up, and I think that was more where like my mental health was at. Like I thought that I didn't deserve like eating well,
Yeah, like rationing the fruit.
Yeah.
For the kids
like,
and
no,
whatnot.
the fruit is for the kids. I can't have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, since especially like in the middle of a pandemic, being the healthiest I've ever been. I haven't even got sick once this year, which is
wonderful.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, getting sick, people, is just a detox.
Yeah.
Something's triggered
That's
you
right.
to get stuff out.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yes.
it can be foreign bodies sometimes too.
Yeah. And
Nothing
even,
to be feared.
That's right. Because another conversation I had was a lot of people do get sick when they first go vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what it is.
You understand why now, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
I think it's important to know that so
Yes.
that you don't make the tragic mistake of blaming the food as being bad for you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
it's
because
not
how
that at
many
all.
like vegans I've seen, there's a whole range of YouTube channels of people that, why I'm not vegan anymore.
Yeah.
And it's probably because, they
All
thought
of
that
these
the
reasons.
vegan food was making them sick,
Yeah.
whereas it was just a detox response. And there's probably... So how long should someone try raw food before they start seeing results?
Yeah, that one's very individual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors in play.
Okay.
Yeah. And what is a result? What kind of result?
Well, I guess in terms of
a positive result.
if they're getting sick.
Yeah,
so
that's a result.
Like how long would your body sort of be sick for before you started seeing something more positive?
Yeah, you would just need to write it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It could be a couple of months. It could be years for
right.
a person. And it just means managing that level of detox, because that's all it is. If it's too painful, then slow it down with some cooked vegetables.
Yeah.
That will, just balance it. I don't know that it would be years. I'm just saying, but I would actually think it might be at most about 3 months for most people.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that I struggled with my first detox.
Yeah.
I was on the toilet and I was just... It's coming out number 2 and I remember Michael going, "Oh, I'm going to cook you something." I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I just want to keep going with this."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, we need to slow it down."
Yeah.
So it's depending on, people who will go raw are generally people that care about their health. Yes, animals are a part of it. I think people go vegan for one of 3 reasons: either environment, health, or the animals. Yeah, there'll be one of those that are stronger than someone. And for me, it was the animals first before the health. But now I realize I can help the animals by focusing on the health, because the really hardcore vegan activists, let's face it, they are off-putting for a lot of people. I don't think they're helping so much.
Yeah.
It's almost like anyone preaching so strongly just repels, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so there are more positive ways to use that energy, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100% agree with you on that one.
So, yeah, if you're someone that's detoxing and going raw and you want to get healthy, just stick with it. And if it's a bit too painful, just slow it down with a bit of cooked, but just keep with it.
Yeah. So what foods in particular have been like medicine for you?
I would think with having my periods sorted, what I have learned is to keep diet very light. What I do know, because I'm spiritually connected, what I do know is that we should be fasting throughout our period, but it's not always practical. We might need more energy than that. So I find orange juice is really healing, and especially if it's just picked. Because the reason why living food is more important, is more beneficial, is because it is alive and it has living energy, and that's actually measurable scientifically in terms of electromagnetic energy, and that has a whole new level of healing that we take for granted. We don't even think of it. We're just so used to getting old food at the supermarket. So if you can grow your food, that's really beneficial. And when you grow your food, the plants get to know you. Yes. And they can produce more things that they know that you need.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, any fruits and berries that are organically grown are most beneficial.
Yeah.
And for me, orange juice. I've had so much success with orange juice. I've had candy. I used to get thrush a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I transitioned and detoxing, it was all coming out. It was the worst bout of thrush I had. And guess how I fixed it?
Orange juice.
Orange juice.
No way.
And they will never say, they'll say, don't have any sugars.
Yeah.
They should say don't have any refined sugars.
Yeah.
But fruit sugar is the energy that our cells need and your brain needs. And it's such a simple form of fuel that our body loves. You don't need to produce insulin to break down the food because it's already ready to go. That's powerful.
Yeah.
But vegetables, glucose, needs insulin to break that down.
Yeah.
So fruit, how easy is that?
Oh,
You don't have any insulin need, your body doesn't, it's easy.
Orange juice is my favourite. I always start my day with orange juice, and if I'm ever not feeling well, I just have heaps of orange juice, and I love that. So I love how you say that energy is at the heart of all healing.
Yes.
So what is the most profound energy healing that you've experienced?
Energy healing, for my experience, again, I'll go back to my periods. There was a one time, because just to give it some context, I had to eat boxes of Pond Stand just to get me through. It's a drug that, and I had to start it days before my period.
Wow.
Anyway, so when I'm detoxing, I had to stop all of that, didn't I? So I had to have the most painful periods I've ever had in my life, like pass out periods, white in the face.
Oh, wow.
But I got through it. Anyway, I do remember this one time I'm on the toilet and I'm just in absolutely excruciating pain, but a voice or my inner guidance just said, just let it, just allow it, accept the pain, go into it, just allow it to be there. And I kid you not, the moment I did that, I just went, I just relaxed and I accepted the pain and it actually stopped.
Wow.
I was kind of dumbfounded. So I learnt a lot about energy through that experience. And I had a lot of insights from that period. And I wrote so much down, and that's what I've decided to bring to the world now. I'm only just starting. I want to really passionate to help women not suffer painful periods. And there is a connection spiritually as well. 100%. There are things that we need to do to help our physical bodies here.
Yes.
Not resist what goes on. And often, particularly in that time of our cycle when we should be meditating actually and going into ourselves and not eating, because that burdens the body. I do believe in fasting.
Right.
Look, I actually have only done it a handful of times. I know better because I had that inner guidance, right?
Yeah.
Whether we choose to follow the guidance or not is one thing. So energetically just keeping, for me, meditating every day is what I need to do. Sometimes I don't, and I do feel unbalanced when I don't. So, I think I
you did. I think
Yeah,
that's like the most perfect answer and example of energy and how energy works, and just that surrender. It's just surrender to it. Stop fighting against it. That's probably been a massive lesson for me in general. Just surrender to it. So
I want to help other people do the same. Just let it be. And the other thing is to now I don't book work when I know I'm having my period.
Yes.
Because I know it's a time that we're supposed to be. See, women, we're lucky that we actually have that forced time out, whereas men don't. They have to really be more conscious to schedule such time in for themselves. But us, no. Okay, you might not even realise you're there with your water bottle or whatever, but you are taking some time to yourself. As long as you're not losing consciousness into the passive world of television and Netflix series.
Oh my goodness, yes. I do. I've done another episode all around cycling with the moon and scheduling, because I love that, love your cycle, how you especially in an entrepreneurship like way of living, scheduling, or not scheduling your work in that reflective period and actually taking that time to reflect. And I often find the reason why some people do get painful periods is so that forces them to stop. It forces them to stop and reflect, because that's their time to go inwards, and women fight against it and they keep trying to do all the things, whereas so then your body's going to be like, okay, you won't listen to this internal guidance, we're going to make it a physical message for you.
And that happens with flu as well.
Yes.
It's like, you haven't listened, we're going to shut you down for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, the body's amazing.
It is.
I feel like we've already covered veganism from a health perspective, and I love that you mention that there's different reasons why people go vegan, and I feel like it's almost like four. So there's the obvious ethical reason, there's the health perspective, there's the environmental perspective, and then as well as the spiritual.
Of course there is.
But not many people think about the spiritual aspect of veganism.
No, actually, this topic's really important actually, because the food will help you not achieve, because it's not about achieving. The food will help you surrender to your higher self.
Exactly.
Because it's cleansing. So a lot of the toxic food and the acid forming foods are blocking up your pineal gland. And of course you need that for connectedness. And the energy in the foods that are raw and living feels so different. You feel lighter. You do feel more connected to nature.
Yes.
And as a result, you become more spiritual. So even if the three things that I mentioned, you'll become more spiritual, more spiritually connected, just as a byproduct of eating the fruits and vegetables and berries.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, you're right. There are probably some people that are like, I want to get more connected to my inner self and put my ego away. I might see what raw foods can do for me. Yeah, that could be one way to go about it as well.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't consider that, but it's definitely a byproduct of doing it.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely felt a real calling. So the more, so there's the obvious ethical reason. And as we discussed before, ethically, I always wanted to be vegetarian. I didn't really think much about veganism for a long time. And then to have the experiences that I did with my son and his health issues, which I've shared on the podcast before, but letting go of dairy especially, and dairy's so bad for you.
Oh, isn't it?
People still think that it's healthy for you because it's still taught in schools.
Is it?
They've got the silly food pyramid, and dairy's a big chunk on the food pyramid that they're still teaching kids in school. It's so frustrating because dairy is not good for you.
No,
not at all.
Not.
So there's obviously a huge, a good documentary that I love. If you might disagree or if this is triggering in any way, is Cowspiracy. Have you seen that?
Do you know what? I haven't, because I feel like I don't need to watch it.
Oh yeah. It's basically there's a reason why the government have told us and sharing all this misinformation that dairy is healthy when it's not, because there's
it's
nothing.
A big business.
Yes.
Is that one? Maybe I have seen it.
Oh yeah.
And that makes sense. The pharmaceutical industry as well as the meat industry, they're giants.
Yeah. And they're all interrelated as well. They they tell us to eat these foods which will make you sick so that they can prescribe the medication. It's this horrible. So dairy's not good for you. And when I cut out dairy and realized how unhealthy it was, I lost all this weight, this sort of fat around my stomach that I just always had, just disappeared just from not eating dairy. And then spiritually, I got this massive activator. I was just cool. It was crazy. Spiritually, letting go of dairy was amazing. And then obviously meat is another one, spiritually, it's just amazing.
Yeah. So
no, you go.
Because when you take on meat in particular, that was a living animal with emotions and feelings, and it had a horrific experience leading up to its death. And you ingest that energy.
Yes.
So the thing with this life in this physical realm, whatever we eat, we become it. So if you're going to eat chicken nuggets, eventually you'll start looking like one. Yeah, but no, you do seriously take on the
100%.
those feelings and emotions. And with meat, there are often steroids in the meat, and the adrenaline of that fright that the animal experiences.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of vegans who don't really understand the energy of fruit and vegetables and detox symptoms, when they go, oh, I'm eating meat now and I feel so much better, is because that's the steroids. They're so stimulating. It's a stimulant and it's artificial. So it's a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And it's toxic, and it will catch up.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, definitely. There's no humane way to kill an animal.
There isn't.
And another good documentary, I'm not sure if you've seen this one, is Dominion.
That's the one I think I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah. No.
Maybe I need to, but I hear that it's very graphic.
It is. I basically just bawled my eyes the whole time, and they start off with pigs, like you mentioned. Yeah, it's horrible. But if you don't understand the ethical side of things, you know, I highly, highly recommend. And I watching that movie sort of gave me a bit of understanding of those activists out there. Yeah. And those people doing, you know, the work that they are doing.
It is essential work too.
It is.
Yes.
It's so essential. And I'm so grateful for those people doing that as well. So, yeah, that's another great one.
Everything has a place here.
Yes.
You're right. And I think if you are going to eat meat, that you should be informed and watch. And
if you can't watch how you got that food,
that's not fair,
it's not even food. God.
Yeah, and we've all been there too. That's the thing. Like, I always have compassion for every human being because I am that human being. I understand that. And I've also been where they are to some degree. So,
yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's all a journey, and we're all at different levels on our journey.
It is all a journey, and I 100% agree with you. And again, like, I'm not going to judge anybody. Like, maybe there's a little bit of judgment there for like wanting to be ignorant, you know, but if you're going to make an informed choice, it needs to be fully informed, right? So I'm so passionate about it.
They'll get there though. I actually believe that those people,
they will,
because you know the vegan activist group, I met them once, the ones that wear the masks, there might be a few of them. I met them and I was chatting that their idea was the more people need to hear the message 100 times before they sort of have that light bulb moment and stop eating meat. Yeah. So I think that's true. It's with anything. The more you hear it, it's like advertising. Advertisers know that.
Yes.
You know, they keep showing you something and you'll eventually buy it.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what it's like at the moment? The girls that all have the big lips.
Oh, right.
You know, I think for me, the more when I first saw it, there's no judgment to people that do feel they need to put Botox and fillers in their face and all of that. When you first see it, it looks abnormal. Like, it doesn't look right. But the more you see it, it starts to look normal. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing, like the more you hear a message or the more you see something, the more it starts to either look true for you or not. And it's about knowing what sits right with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of sort of desensitization happening, especially at the moment with all different things happening in our world.
That's right. And that's the thing. I mentioned about Pandora's box when you become vegan. Yeah. It really is opening Pandora's box because you just suddenly see everything with so much more clarity from your third eye and in your physical realm, and friends that you've been friends with for years sort of clear off because you're rising up. Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Oh. So much yes. So what is your number one spiritual practice? Like something that you do every day or something that you always go back to that helps?
Yes. Okay. Every day I do sun salutations. It's a yoga practice. It's a connecting practice in a lot of ways. For the body, it's a meditation. It's a moving meditation in many ways, but it also gets the lymphatic system moving. We talked about that before. The other thing I didn't mention yet about the lymphatic system is it doesn't have a heart to pump it around like the blood does. It relies on movement.
Right.
You must exercise. Yeah, you need to move. So the Sun Salutations, which is a yoga series, it's got down dogs in there and whatnot. It's designed to press on your lymphatic points to help squeeze them out. So there's that. So I'm moving the body in that way, and I'm connecting with the breath. So, you know, inhale the inhalations and exhalations, and that will, it calms my mind because I'm concentrating on my breath and connecting it with the moves. So that's my one to do that every day, even if I don't feel like it.
Yep.
And when I do get myself, because I am a human being, as we all are, and if I get myself to a place where I'm not right, you like, if I feel depressed, I know that I've lost my balance and connection. I'm like, okay. So I do have some tools to get me back to a centered place.
Yep.
And one of them is just a music playlist that's upbeat, and that'll help shift my frequency because I know how important that is. And then I will just listen to A New Earth, which is Eckhart Tolle's book that I mentioned, but I've got that on audio book.
Yeah,
I
have
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just any of those spiritual teachers. I also like Neville Goddard. He's someone that's long past the world now, passed away, but he's left some really wonderful messages, and just reconnecting in that way. And then, going into myself in a meditation and asking for guidance and just calm. Oh, and NLP. There are actually so many things I do.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of tools. NLP is good, neuro-linguistic programming. So I've programmed certain points on my fingers to have a calming effect. So whenever I find myself getting a little bit disconnected, I'll come back there.
Yeah, wow.
And the NLP stuff's powerful because you don't have to wait until you're sitting down in a 10-minute meditation. You can do it any time.
Yeah.
You can train a certain point to bring a certain feeling to you instantly.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the yoga sun salutations.
Yeah, they feel good. It's a nice way to get going.
That's how I start my day every day.
You do as well?
Oh yeah. I love yoga, and I'm doing yoga teacher training at the moment. Learning about all of that. And I feel it when I don't do yoga. So yoga's always in my day, and my day's always much better if I roll out of bed and I do yoga first
Straight
thing.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, I find that too, before my mind comes in and wants to do other things.
Because it's such a mindful practice. It's a meditative practice. So so big on the yoga.
Oh, and cold showers is another one.
Yes.
Yeah, so after that I jump in the shower. Yeah. And the days that I really don't want to, or I feel a bit depressed or something, occasionally I just make myself have a cold shower. And because with that you have to breathe to keep your muscles warm in here.
Right.
Yeah, before you know it, you feel better. All that new oxygen that gets to your brain. Lots of things we can do to heal ourselves on this planet.
Yeah,
seriously.
there really is.
Yeah.
And I'll link all of your YouTube videos and that sort of thing, so anyone who wants to watch one of your videos on the cold showers, because they're so good. Your videos were really encouraging, because I'd heard everyone talk about Wim Hof, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel drawn to look, like I'm already doing so many things, but watching your videos I was like, I might actually give this a go. So we love the breathing. Hayden and I do the breathing techniques.
Good.
And every now and then do the shower, but and learning from your perspective of Wim Hof really resonated with me. I really got it.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad. There's something for everyone, isn't it? It's the same message, perhaps, but delivered in a different way by that person's energy that connects with this group better.
Exactly, because I didn't, I seen Wim Hof and I'm like, I don't know, what is he, is he Austrian? We do love his accent. Norwegian,
Norway.
Some sort of like European type accent that reminds me of when I was in Austria, rafting like this. So that's always like nice to do the guided meditation with his voice.
Yeah.
But the way that you describe the cold showers, because I hate being cold. I have a very big thing about being cold. Like some people, like my mum used to be like, oh, I'm cold-blooded or I'm warm-blooded or whatever she used to say. I'd be like, aren't you cold? And kids, they just never feel the cold, and I'm always stressing about them. I'm like, aren't
I hope
you
you don't
cold?
stress
No,
now.
I don't
understand
now.
that they've got more brown fat.
This winter, I've loved it. I've loved being out in the cold. We go out every day, and then even doing the cold showers throughout winter. It was just so invigorating, and I know that it's good for me now. I know that I'm not going to feel the cold as much when I activate all of that. So
And I think it just makes your mind tougher because you know that I survived that. And I did well. I actually feel good. That it just toughens you up, and we allow our minds to get weak. And cold showers is a good strategy for the mind, as well as gratitude
as well,
really,
isn't it? Yeah, you find gratitude for your life after you've had a cold shower.
You do, yeah, for sure.
So what is one thing that has helped you on your journey? So this could be a type of healing, a book, a quote, like one thing that just really, really impacted this journey.
One thing. You're asking a Piscean to narrow it down to one thing. I'm always like, I think for me, just having like Michael's support, like just having someone that is physically there that I can connect to and talk to and go, is this supposed to happen or not? On this health food journey, that's been really important for me. That would be the one thing. I think it's just really handy to have a guru. Yeah. Just in case you doubt yourself, I think that's been really helpful to me. And all of my books and these teachers that I've mentioned.
And we'll link everything that you've mentioned. I'll find a link for anybody who wants to go further into that. So how can we connect with you? What's the best way to get in contact with you if people have loved what they've heard and they want to keep following you on your journey? What's the best way?
Well, I've just started a Facebook group. So it's called Daughter Raw Inner Circle, and it's a private group. So I'm going live there every week on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock Melbourne time. So come along if you're our discussion has resonated with you, and it's particularly if you're a woman suffering from period pains and endometriosis, then there's absolutely a way to heal naturally. And I'm sharing insights on how to achieve that on my weekly Facebook lives. So Daughter Raw, and there's also a YouTube channel, Daughter Raw, and Instagram and Facebook. That's it. You'll find me out there.
And I'll link all of them. Now, is there anything, because there was a few questions that I didn't ask, is there anything that you want to share, anything that we didn't cover that you're particularly...
It's good. You've got your questions down really well. We've covered a lot.
We have.
I'm sure there is something.
Well,
yes, I want to say, yes. When I first went raw, I lost a lot of weight. Okay, because I didn't understand, and even Michael missed this one too, the caloric value of the food is a lot less than cooked food. Cooked foods are so dense in their calories, whereas to achieve those same calories in fruits and vegetables, you have to eat more. And I didn't realise that, so I got really skinny. And I actually, to think about it, I was probably a bit hungry a lot of the time. So now I've worked all of that out and I know how much to eat. So, I thought I'd mention that because people could lose weight. And maybe some people even go raw vegan. You know how we were discussing there might be 4 things, maybe 5 things. Because they want to lose weight. It would definitely work for weight loss, but to sustain it and be healthy and make sure you're getting all of your calories is really important, because if you're under eating, your body sort of goes into starvation mode and it will the moment you start eating enough, it will hold on to fats more.
Yes.
And I've noticed that because it's really been this year. I guess I'm in my I'm into my 4th year now, but the 3rd year I really got the hang of it. So it took some time. So I definitely think having a guru, someone to help guide you on your journey.
And is this
really
what you
important.
offer in the Facebook group?
All of that.
Yeah, okay.
I'll definitely happy to help anyone. But in my Facebook group is targeted more towards helping detoxing women.
Yep.
To get them out of having period pains and healing their endometriosis without surgeries and all of that craziness that goes on, and pills and chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah, so I do gear it towards that, but it's all relevant because it all comes from an acidic condition in your body. We've just become so toxic that our body creates certain diseases.
Yeah, definitely. And it's way too common. It shouldn't be this horrible thing that people, and some people think they just have to live with that. They get this diagnosis and they're like, oh, this is just my life now, where it doesn't have to be like that.
No, it doesn't. And it has to be, the person that wants to heal will heal, but it's not for everybody. Some people just don't have that mental capacity to even be bothered changing their food because they just like what they're doing too much. I'm thinking of my dad as I say that. He's had an open heart surgery a few years back. And he's got me, but he just doesn't want to join the party, and that's fine. That's his journey, you know. And sometimes we have to watch our loved ones suffer and still eat their dairy.
Oh yeah, I've got lots of family members. They'll probably never listen to this podcast.
That's each, like, honestly, each to their own. And they do say that there is a rising of consciousness now.
That's right.
And it sort of sounds sad though, because only the people that are conscious will rise up and other people will fall away, unfortunately, to things like disease, that they believe that they have a disease and they don't want to do anything about it, or the thing that they do is go and get chemotherapies or open heart surgeries and drugs and more drugs until you unfortunately pass away. But then if you're spiritually connected, you know that nothing ever really dies. It's just changing form.
Exactly, and it's just a lesson they've had to live through this lifetime.
And that's for their lesson, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Another book, I don't know if you've heard of this, The Celestian Prophecy.
I've read that. Years ago now, and they made a movie on it.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to check out the movie.
And it's old. Actually, I tried to find it for Michael to watch a couple of months ago.
Right.
And you won't even be able to watch it because we're so used to watching like 4K quality, and this is ancient.
Yeah.
You can't even. I don't know when they did it. They must have did it 20 years ago. You'll notice the quality. Yes, anyway.
Yeah.
You were saying?
No, well, it very much aligns with what you were saying about the consciousness is rising and those people that aren't ready for that, they're not going to move to the new earth. And
that's right. And Eckhart Tolle talks a bit that way as well.
Yeah,
so
right.
He talks about how, everything's a form. And it is. It all makes sense. I love how everything that I've come across in my life all has come together to now, and it all resonates at the same frequency and just makes so much sense.
Yes, exactly. I talk about, that's your intuition leading you. So throughout your life, you'll feel this calling, oh, I've got to read this book, or I've got to do this course, or I've got to go travel to this place, and it doesn't make sense at the time. But then after a little while, you're just like, oh, that makes...
Yeah, later on. It's the beauty of hindsight, isn't it? Yeah.
No, but I've loved this conversation so much, and you've just inspired me so much. I've wanted to go raw for a very, very long time, and like I said, had a lot of fear around it and didn't understand the detox process. You
can go 80-20 raw, by the way. It doesn't have to be like 100%.
Yeah, and you share that in your YouTube videos as well, which is, I love that. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to take on the challenge and I'm going to start going raw. And
you can always send me a message if you've got a question. Hey, this is happening. Did this happen to you?
Definitely. But I hope this has inspired others to make some changes in their life too.
No, thank you for having me on your podcast. Yeah, it's been just so nice to have a conversation with with you and your audience, like-minded people, to talk like this, because not everyone gets us, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So it's just nice to be among your tribe, you know. Yeah, so thank you so much.
No, thank you. I really appreciate this.
My pleasure.
Oh my goodness. What an amazing episode with Julianne from Daughter Raw. I just feel so light after talking with her. We talked for a little bit before we recorded, as well as quite some time after we recorded. I'm sure that podcast episode could have gone for so much longer, but I think we did a really great job with stopping it when we did. But I'm so grateful to have met Julianne and to be able to share, the work that she's doing with Daughter Raw and encouraging people to detox and heal themselves. So thank you so much again, Julianne, and I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram at spiritualaf the podcast. I'd love to hear what you thought of this episode. Don't forget to follow this podcast. We release new episodes every Friday. And for more interdimensional conversations on all things life, death, and everything in between, don't forget, even if your wings have been clipped off, they can always